let's try this again, but with a hot cup of coffee, which is very important here, folks. All right. So, hi there. Ho there. um, I'm Kelly. I call myself the cat minion because, well, I have cats. If you check out the shorts, you'll see the cats kind of doing their thing, and they have a pretty good time. So, you know, that's as it should be. I'm a well-trained cat minion. Let's put it that way. So, I guess this is going to be an introductory video, but the way I look at it, the videos that I'm going to do, they're going to introduce you to a lot of different things about me. So this one is more like okay, here's the kind of person I am. Here's the kind of things that I watch on YouTube. Doesn't mean that this channel is going to be like this, especially when you hear the first two, which is Rick Beato and Professor of Rock. I do not have the knowledge depth of music that Rick Beato does. I have the love of music that Rick Beato does, but under no circumstances. Even though I did get my master's degree in a music school and I did my cognate in voice, which was opera, under no circumstances should I even be considered a musician. I can sing. I used to be able to sing really, really well, but, age and menopause and all those other fun things, they kind of wreak havoc on your vocal cords. So there's that. So I don't really sing. But I might. Every once in a while I can break out like a pop tune or a rock tune or a standard or something like that and sort of sing along. But anyway, so I am no Rick Beato, so you won't see me doing a deep dive into music theory the way that he does. Professor of Rock, he's just like this massive fan. He's got a show that really, really pays tribute to the old Casey Kasem America's Top 40, which I grew up listening to. And so it's fun. I enjoy it. I get a kick out of it. So yeah, so I watch the Professor of Rock. I watch Connected Technologies because, yeah, it's Connected Technologies. And if you haven't checked it out, I can't even describe it. It's just a big, huge world of awesome. So those are the three things that I watch regularly. The things that I watch semi-regularly, I watch Stephanie Canada. With a caveat. I spent 20 years working as a professional costume designer. So I know a lot about sewing. I know a lot about vintage patterns. I know a lot about live theater. I know a lot about live opera. I spent a lot of time working in it. And as much as I like Stephanie Canada, she falls into this trope that personally drives me insane, but I know that her fan base absolutely loves her for it. And it's probably because her fan base hasn't spent any time in theater. But she is that stage manager, former stage manager type who thinks they can act. And you see this a lot. And it's very, very strange. Just because I spent a ton of time around actors, it does not make me an actor. Just because I spent a ton of time around opera singers does not make me an opera singer. Yes, I took voice lessons, so I can sing, to basically, the educational amount that I received while I was taking voice lessons. But I did not perform professionally. I did not even perform semi-professionally. I actually don't like to perform in front of people, so I sang because I enjoyed it. But, so, her channel kind of drives me nuts because she likes to try and do acting and accents and things like that, and it just, for me, doesn't work. Um, Having said that, now I took my education. I went into radio. I was a classical music radio host on an FM station here in Detroit, WRCJ 90.9 FM. We are classical and jazz. Anyway, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it there, but the politics of PBS and your NPR style stations are horrible. This was right about the time that AI was really starting to dig its claws into radio, and so the style of radio was starting to shift away from your live personalities and everybody getting, curated playlists on Spotify and, TuneIn and Pandora and all these other things. And so I'm glad I left when I did. I absolutely loved it. And I ran an internet radio station for 9 years, concurrent with this, but also prior to this, because I have a huge tech geek-ette background. So I've been helping my husband, Shape Person, run a live video streaming company since 2004. Yes, that makes us a year older than YouTube. He hates it when I say that, but it's the truth. It's the truth, man. We were live streaming video. It's about the size of a postage stamp, but people loved it. We would go to festivals. We would go to festivals and we would stream their live band stage. And we did a lot of corporate stuff, and we did concerts, and we did some classical music stuff. And then we got into sports, and sports is where everything really kind of took off. So 99% of what we do is sports. And I love it, but I have no sports background. So I have to do things like this. I have to go out and get this, the Smart Girl's Guide to Sports, a hip handbook for women who don't know a slam dunk from a grand slam. And it was very helpful. Also helpful, watching fucking sports and asking questions. So, that helped a lot. But believe me, if you had told me 30 years ago, when I was in the throes of my opera career, that I would be, basically broadcasting live sports and providing content to ESPN, on a regular basis. I mean, when I say regular, we usually have 4 or 5 shows that we produce at any one time, and then lots of archive stuff that plays and plays and plays over and over again. So it's kind of wacky, and I guarantee I'm not even gonna edit that out. Fuck it, that's the way I talk. I'm not even gonna try and say, oh yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. I had no freaking idea. And it's been one heck of a learning curve. So and then I even wedged in a career in website development and, server system, admin in there, and won a couple of awards. So, timing was unique and interesting and everything. So what does that mean for this channel? So what that means for this channel is, you might see me one day repairing a sewing machine. And actually that was going to be my first video. And then while I was recording that video, I was getting so angry at this machine that I was really getting strident. And I had to kind of pull it back, and do that. So you may see me repair a sewing machine or do a tutorial on sewing. I still teach sewing here locally a couple of times a month. It's fun. People seem to like it. And I make a few bucks. So yay that. Right now I have a Yamaha audio mixer that is not getting power that I need to fix. And that's going to be a real challenge for me because repairing audio equipment is not really my bailiwick. I can repair computers, I can repair sewing machines. So this will be interesting, and I think it's going to be a lot of YouTube tutorials. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, so I may have repair videos. I may have demo videos. I do like the game. Yes, I'm old enough to have played Pong when it came out. And I did because the neighbors had it, and we would go home for lunch from school, and everybody would eat their PB&J or whatever, and then we would all go down to the neighbor's house, and we'd all take turns playing Pong. So I remember playing that. I remember playing Tron in television. And then I got into my like massive theater career world and didn't touch any of that stuff for a really, really long time, until Diablo came out. When Diablo came out, I was all over it and absolutely loved it. So there, you've got that. So I'm currently playing Brotato a lot, so I may do a playthrough. I'm trying to do each individual character, and there are a ton of them, from 0 to 5. I haven't done any endless yet. So for those of you who are Brotato folks, my Brawler is looking real good, and my Lich build was excellent. I think both of those would make a great endless wave. So those will probably happen in the future. I am a geek about books. I'm a geek about comic books. I have lots of vinyl records. And when I say vinyl records, there's going to be a lot of classical, a lot of opera, a lot of rock, especially from the mid 80s, your new wave, your art rock, all that kind of stuff. That was definitely me. I was definitely a goth. So there'll be some of that in that mix. I may talk about it, because I also do eBay reselling, and I've been doing that since 1999. So off and on, mostly off. Currently, I'm on a lot more because my audiobook career slowed down a bit. If we're going back to the timeline, when I came out of radio, I still had all the equipment, and I was doing some voiceover stuff, and we were doing all the video production here, and one thing led to another, and a friend of mine said, can you help me build my studio? And I said, what are you building a studio for? And she said, I'm going to narrate audiobooks for Audible. And I was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. And she says, yeah, you should do it. And she ended up doing 2 books and making about $8 and quitting. I ended up turning it into a career for 7 years, where I produced about 300 audiobooks. Well, probably more, because almost 100 of those would have been my own narrations. And I went into publishing and all of that. And if I thought there were politics in radio, ooh, audiobook narration, multiply it by about 10,000. It's pretty awful. It's a very small industry with about 4,000 working narrators. That number may be less now because AI has really started to encroach into that industry, and I quit as soon as AI came in. I was kind of like, we might want to rethink this. So I still do a little bit of distribution, but for the most part, I'm kind of out of it. I do have one author that wants me to finish up a series that has taken a long time to write. I'll probably do that. But for the most part, I'm not really doing radio anymore. I'm not really doing audiobook narration anymore, but, I may change my mind. I may fire up the old internet radio station and, do some back announcing on some classical music. You never know. So this channel is definitely going to be a mix-up for sure, because I'll probably talk a lot about things that I'm selling on eBay, or the process of selling on eBay, or any of the other platforms that I might do. I'm no longer on Etsy. I was for a long time, and when they let the Chinese resellers in, I was done because I just couldn't deal with the constant undercutting of the prices. So there is that. So I may talk about that. I may do a behind the scenes when we're at one of our live sporting events, and kind of, fire up the camera and let you guys see what it's like to uh, produce video. It's pretty fun. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but I've been doing it for a long time. So some things, it's funny. One of our clients said, when they watched us doing playoff games, they said it was like watching a ballet because everybody had very specific movements that they did at very specific times, and I thought that was kind of neat. So yeah, maybe I'll throw a camera on it, but um, we'll have to get some permission from Frank before I do that, because that's his bailiwick. He's in charge of it, and we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so this is kind of it. This is kind of my intro video. I find it a little odd that there are now sort of videos out on YouTube that say, if you're over the age of 50, you should have a YouTube channel. I think everybody and their brother is trying to find a way to make a buck, or trying to make their mark in a place. And I know that I just didn't spend a lot of time recording it and documenting it so that I could then turn around and turn it into a YouTube channel. I would sort of have to recreate it, anecdotally. And I think that's kind of what's gonna happen here. The cats will still do videos every once in a while. They have their moments, and if I can catch them, great. When we are out on our beautiful walks in Michigan, which we love to do, a lot of times I'll post stuff like that. So it might be some sandhill cranes looking for some dinner, or you know, ducks, or other birds. When we go to the metro parks, especially in the spring, the birds out there are absolutely like crazy. They are all over the place, and it's a wetlands. It's federally protected. It's a really awesome place to go hike. So I may throw things like that up there. What I don't want to become, I don't want to become, the kind of channel that is just rinse and repeat all the time with the same exact things. There is a lovely person out there who has a channel where they play the ukulele. They have over 900 videos that they've made, and the videos get very little traffic. It looks like 2 or 3 of them may have spiked and gotten a few thousand views here and a few thousand views there, but most of them are sitting at pretty low viewership, and I don't know if I could do that. Granted, this particular person did not play the ukulele well, so that's the other thing, is that in the space of 900 videos, I would expect to actually see the skill set get better, if that's what you're demonstrating, and that's what those videos were. Like, if I ever eventually take up learning the piano for real, which, has been a dream my whole life, and I never seem to be able to do it. But if I did, I would expect that, from day 1 to maybe day 90 to see, some sort of improvement. But anyway, that's enough about that odd little channel. There's another channel. And it's a person who is trying to grow their YouTube channel, which I totally respect. And they're doing it with a group of friends, and they keep complaining that their channel isn't getting the traffic towards monetization that their friends did. And I could barely make it through even 2 minutes of the channel because the lip smacking on every angle where the person was just, it was just insane. It was just awful. They had this beautiful, high quality microphone, and all you could hear was this constant lip smacking. And as someone who came out of radio, as someone who's done audiobook narration, as someone who listens to a lot of people do a lot of play-by-play and color commentary in sporting events, my ears are very finely tuned toward that kind of thing, and it's painful to listen to, and it gets very wearing on the ears after a while. And so, I went in and I made a comment, but I tried to be educational about it and just say, it's difficult to listen to the lip smacking, and I see that you have very good equipment, so I'm going to give you some suggestions. And I suggested, mic placement plus some additional dampeners to help. And then, of course, what you do with the voice. I mean, the day before you're going to do a video, you need to hydrate. And I mean, a lot. Not the day of, not 5 minutes before, not half an hour before, but the day before. The day before you're going to be on a live mic. You really, really need to pay attention to getting your rest and hydrating and all of that kind of stuff, because otherwise you're going to spend a ton of time in editing trying to clean this stuff up with software, and it's never going to sound as good. So do it right the first time. Anyway, so I don't want to be that channel where the technical production is so rough that it's painful to listen to. I don't want to be that channel that's got a couple of tropes that you just rinse and repeat over and over and over again. I don't want to try and pretend to be something that I'm not. So you're going to get unvarnished me. Usually includes F-bombs. If that's something that offends you, it's just the way I talk now. It really is. It's from years of working in live sports with mostly men, in an environment where you have to be extremely thick-skinned. And that's another whole story. I'll do a whole story on what it was like to transition from working with people in sports to working with audiobook narrators who, God bless them, I love them, they're incredibly talented, but they're also a bunch of real fucking snowflakes. And sometimes I just literally wanted to put my head into a wall and say, all y'all need to just man up a little bit and stop being such a bunch of babies. But that's another whole rant for another entire video. I think we're good to go, folks. I think you've had enough of an introduction. I hope you liked it. I hope my wandering eye doesn't bother you too much. I sort of move my head a little bit so that it doesn't really kind of bother you. But anyway, there it is. Here's the first video. I'm sure I will look back on this and cringe, but it is what it is. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Bye now.